My name is Dr. Audrey Larkwell, and I want to start with something most women after 40 have experienced but rarely talk about directly. You try the same things that used to work, you eat a little less, you walk more, you skip the snacks, you push yourself, and the body does not respond the same way anymore. The belly stays, the bloating comes back, the sugar cravings get louder at night, the energy drops by afternoon, sleep becomes lighter, hot flashes interrupt the night, and slowly a painful thought appears. What is happening to me? I know this not only from working with thousands of women navigating this stage, I know it because I lived it myself. At 44, with all my clinical training, I still spent months blaming myself for symptoms that had nothing to do with discipline. And that is exactly why I want to have this conversation today. Because most of what women are told about weight after 40 is incomplete. Not wrong, exactly. Just incomplete in ways that leave them trying the right things for the wrong version of their body. Today, I want to walk you through what actually works, what usually does not, and what most women miss entirely. Stay with me. Here's what I need you to understand first. After 40, particularly during perimenopause and menopause, the body enters a new internal season. Estrogen fluctuates and declines. Progesterone falls. Insulin sensitivity decreases. Muscle mass begins to decline without deliberate intervention. Sleep becomes lighter and more fragmented. Cortisol from accumulated stress interacts with the hormonal changes in ways that drive fat specifically toward the abdomen. And the metabolism, the rate at which the body uses energy at rest, shifts, not dramatically, not overnight, but consistently, measurably, meaningfully. Mayo Clinic explains that menopause-related hormonal changes can make weight more likely to settle around the abdomen, but emphasizes that aging, lifestyle, and genetics all play significant roles. So, when the old strategy stops working, it is not because you lost discipline. It is because the body changed, and the strategy never changed with it. That is the root of the problem most women are living inside. They are applying a solution designed for a different hormonal environment and then blaming themselves when it does not produce the same results. Let me walk you through what I have seen consistently in my practice and in my own what works and what does not in this new hormonal landscape. The first thing that usually does not work is extreme dieting. The belly grows, so you eat less. The scale moves up, so you cut more. The clothes get tight, so you restrict further. And maybe the scale moves briefly, but then energy drops, cravings intensify, sleep worsens, mood becomes more fragile, and the body, particularly the menopausal body under hormonal stress, interprets severe restriction as a threat. Not a plan, a threat, and it responds accordingly. Cortisol rises, muscle breaks down faster, metabolism slows further, and the very tissue that the body needed to protect, muscle, becomes the first casualty. This is the piece most restrictive diets miss entirely. After 40, eating less and less without protecting muscle does not produce the transformation most women are looking for. It produces a body that is lighter but softer, smaller but weaker, restricting but still bloated. That is not metabolic confidence. That is the body in survival mode. The second thing that usually does not work as a standalone strategy is relying entirely on cardio, particularly endless walking, to manage menopause belly. Walking is genuinely valuable. It supports cardiovascular health, blood sugar, stress reduction, and mood. I walk daily and recommend it without reservation, but walking alone is not a sufficient metabolic signal for the body after 40. Because the metabolic challenge of menopause is not primarily about burning more calories, it is about preserving the metabolic tissue, muscle, that determines how many calories the body burns at rest. When muscle declines, resting metabolic rate declines with it. And no amount of additional walking compensates for that loss if the underlying muscle is not being protected. The Menopause Society explains that aging is a primary driver of midlife weight gain, while menopause plays a specific role in redistributing fat, often increasing abdominal fat. The intervention that matches that mechanism is resistance training, lifting weights, body weight exercises, resistance bands, a signal to the body that says, keep this muscle because it is being used. That signal, sent consistently 2 to 3 times per week, is one of the most important metabolic investments a woman over 40 can make. The third thing that usually does not work is skipping meals as a daily strategy. Many women do this quietly. They drink coffee and skip breakfast. They eat very little through the day. They try to be good. But by afternoon, energy crashes. By evening, cravings are impossible to resist. At night, the sugar feels almost necessary. Then guilt arrives, and the cycle repeats the next morning. Here's what I want you to understand about that craving. After 40, sugar cravings in the evening are very often not emotional. They are metabolic. A body that has been underfueled through the day, dealing with blood sugar instability from declined insulin sensitivity, disrupted by poor sleep, stressed by hot flashes and hormonal fluctuation, will reach urgently for fast energy at night. Not because of weakness, because of an unmet metabolic need that accumulated all day. When you understand that, the craving stops being a referendum on your character. It becomes information about what the body needed earlier: more protein at breakfast, more fiber at lunch, more balanced meals that prevent the blood sugar swings that drive evening hunger. The fourth thing that most women underestimate is sleep. Many women treat sleep like a luxury they can sacrifice when life gets busy. But during menopause, sleep becomes one of the central metabolic battlegrounds. Hot flashes and night sweats fragment sleep architecture, preventing the body from reaching the deep restorative stages where hormone regulation, metabolic repair, and memory consolidation actually happen. And when sleep is consistently broken, the next day changes in specific measurable ways. Ghrelin, the hunger hormone, rises. Leptin, the satiety hormone, falls. The body wants more food and feels satisfied by less. Cortisol is elevated, driving further abdominal fat storage. Insulin sensitivity worsens, making blood sugar swings more likely. And the motivation, focus, and emotional resilience needed to maintain healthy habits erodes. Mayo Clinic lists hot flashes, night sweats, and sleep problems among common menopause symptoms. And those nighttime disruptions directly affect the metabolic picture the next day. So when a woman says, "I cannot lose weight no matter what I try," one of the first questions I ask is not about food. It is about sleep. Are you sleeping? Are you recovering? Or is your body spending the night managing heat, cortisol, and hormonal fluctuation instead of restoring itself? If what I am describing sounds like your experience, the belly that does not respond, the cravings, the broken sleep, the bloating, the weight that moved without explanation, then the guide in the first link of the description was created specifically for this moment. Click the first link in the description. Deixamos no primeiro link na descrição guia prático para você acessar de forma rápida. Clique e veja, because understanding the pattern is the first step toward changing it. And changing it with the right strategy for this body at this stage is more possible than most women believe. Let me now tell you what I have seen consistently work for women navigating menopause weight and body composition after 40. Not as a promise, as a framework built from both the research and the real-world experience of working with women through this transition. The first pillar is protein. Adequate protein at every meal is the single most impactful dietary change for the menopausal body. Protein preserves muscle, the metabolic tissue that determines resting energy expenditure. It slows glucose absorption, reducing the blood sugar spikes that drive afternoon crashes and evening cravings. It increases satiety, making it possible to feel genuinely satisfied without overeating. And it supports the tissue repair and recovery that the body needs during a stage when both sleep and hormonal recovery are less reliable. For women who have been undereating protein, which is extremely common in midlife, this single shift often produces more change than any diet overhaul. The second pillar is resistance training. As I explained earlier, strength training is not optional for the menopausal body. It is the primary stimulus that tells the body to preserve and build the muscle that drives metabolism. Even 2 to 3 sessions per week of 30 minutes each produce meaningful effects on body composition, insulin sensitivity, bone density, and metabolic rate over time. This does not need to be intense or extreme. It needs to be consistent and progressive. The third pillar is sleep protection. Sleep is not separate from weight management after 40. It is central to it. Consistent bedtimes and wake times, a cooler sleeping environment, reduced alcohol in the evening, which worsens the second half of sleep, even if it seems to help with falling asleep initially. Reduced caffeine after early afternoon. And for women whose sleep is being significantly disrupted by hot flashes and night sweats, a direct conversation with a healthcare professional about the full range of evidence-based options, including both hormonal and non-hormonal approaches, is one of the most important medical conversations available. Sleep is medicine. Protecting it is not indulgent, it is metabolic strategy. The fourth pillar is stress management. Cortisol, elevated by chronic stress, is a direct driver of abdominal fat accumulation. Not just a contributor, a driver. Managing stress is not an afterthought in a menopause weight strategy. It is a central metabolic intervention. Even brief, daily practices, 10 minutes of slow breathing, a walk in natural light, meaningful social connection, reduce cortisol in ways that measurably affect where the body stores fat over time. There is a fifth pillar that I want to talk about honestly, because I think it is one of the most misunderstood pieces of the menopause weight picture. Natural daily supplement support. Not as a miracle, not as a replacement for everything I just described, but as a meaningful daily nutritional layer that addresses what the menopausal body specifically needs and what diet alone, particularly the average diet of a busy woman in her 40s and 50s, often does not consistently provide. Here's what I mean. The menopausal metabolic challenge is multidimensional. Declining insulin sensitivity driving blood sugar instability, increased oxidative stress affecting cellular function throughout the body, chronic low-grade inflammation impeding the metabolic tissue the body most needs to preserve, cortisol dysregulation driven by sleep disruption and hormonal stress, reduced energy production at the mitochondrial level affecting how efficiently the body converts fuel to energy. Each of these dimensions has a nutritional component. Specific plant-based compounds and nutrients studied in the context of blood sugar support, antioxidant protection, anti-inflammatory activity, cortisol regulation, and cellular energy production. A well-formulated natural daily formula, one built around clean, plant-based ingredients with research in the metabolic wellness space, addresses these dimensions consistently, every day, in a form that fits into a real daily routine. It does not replace protein. It does not replace strength training. It does not replace sleep. But alongside those pillars, it provides a daily nutritional foundation that the menopausal body is asking for and not receiving from diet alone. Blood sugar support to reduce the insulin sensitivity gap that drives cravings and abdominal fat. Antioxidant and anti-inflammatory support to protect the metabolic tissue from the oxidative burden that increases in midlife. Adaptogenic support for cortisol regulation, helping the body respond to stress with more resilience, and metabolic energy support to address the mitochondrial efficiency changes that make the body feel like it is working harder for less output. I recommend this kind of daily natural formula to the women I work with, not because it produces dramatic overnight results. It does not. But because consistent daily nutritional support for these specific mechanisms sustained over weeks and months produces the quiet, meaningful improvement that compounds into real change in daily experience. Less intense cravings, more stable energy through the afternoon, less severe bloating, a metabolism that feels more responsive to the habits being built around it. Not a miracle, a supported foundation. Before I close, I want to address something that I think is the most important piece of all: shame. I have sat across from hundreds of women who are working genuinely hard, eating reasonably, moving their bodies, sleeping as well as their hot flashes allow, managing enormous amounts of responsibility, and still feeling like they are failing because the belly will not move. I want to say this directly: that belly is not evidence of failure. It is evidence of change. The Menopause Society and published research both describe the specific association between the menopause transition and increased visceral abdominal fat, driven by hormonal, metabolic, and age-related mechanisms that have nothing to do with discipline. Understanding this does not mean accepting the belly without response. It means responding to it intelligently, rather than punitively. The question shifts from, why won't this belly go away, to what is this belly actually responding to? And when you ask the second question, you get useful answers. It is responding to declining estrogen-driven fat redistribution, to reduced insulin sensitivity driving fat storage, to cortisol elevation from broken sleep and chronic stress, to muscle loss that reduced the metabolic rate. Those are mechanisms, and mechanisms can be addressed with resistance training that preserves muscle, with protein that stabilizes blood sugar, with sleep that allows cortisol to normalize, with stress management that directly reduces the abdominal fat driver, with natural daily support that fills the nutritional gaps these mechanisms create, and with medical guidance when symptoms are significant enough to warrant it. That is a very different conversation from try harder, and it produces very different results. If you have been watching this video and recognizing your own experience in everything I described, the belly that resists, the cravings, the sleep disruption, the bloating, the exhaustion of trying approaches that no longer work, then please take one simple step before you leave. The link in the first line of the description below will take you to the guide that explains the complete natural daily support approach I described, the formula, the framework, and the lifestyle pillars that work alongside it. And if the description link is hard to find, the same guide is in the pinned comment below this video, because the weight after 40 does not have to be managed through shame and restriction. It can be addressed through understanding and strategy. And the strategy for this body, the menopausal body, the changed body, the body that has been carrying you through one of the most significant physiological transitions of a lifetime, is different from the one that worked before. More supportive, more targeted, more honest about what the body actually needs. That is what I want for every woman watching this. Not a perfect body, a supported one. This is Dr. Audrey Larkwell. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. If this video helped you understand why the strategies that used to work have stopped working and what to replace them with, please subscribe to this channel. Every week, we explore the honest science, the practical strategies, and the compassionate framework that women after 40 deserve when navigating the real metabolic changes of midlife. Because menopause weight is not a moral failure. It is a metabolic transition, and transitions, properly understood and properly supported, do not have to define the rest of your life.